Welcome in. Happy Monday. The NBA playoffs. They're getting, they're getting pretty good, aren't they, here now? There's this team from, I think, Miami getting ready to play Boston, if I'm not mistaken, coming up here. And then, of course, out west, Lakers, Denver Nuggets. These are the final four standing, East versus West here. Who's going to represent each conference in those finals? Well, we're going to try to figure it out here. Game one's just around the corner, but top of their game right now, the three guys joining us here today as we welcome in Mr. Bryan Leonard in the house, as is R1L, Steve Merrill, and the one and only Rob Vino, ready to go. He's got his own pen there. He is ready to rock. Gentlemen, happy $9 Monday, where, of course, best bets are $9 on your pages over at WagerTalk.com. And, Bryan, I'll start with you because I believe you got a little something in the NHL on the ice tonight. Could be a little game 7. Might be a 5% best bet as well. What's happening?
Yeah, I do have a 5% in tonight's Seattle-Dallas matchup. And playoffs have been very good. 10-3 run in the playoffs. 39-21 now in our history on 5% plays. Although, to be fully honest with you, we had the Oilers. We had Vegas in game 1, and then we had the Oilers to win the series at that point. So we got them at plus 120. Thought it was a good value. Didn't work out, but my wife was very happy being a Golden Knights fan. But it didn't work out for us money-wise. But we'll get back today.
I am going to have to, is that a Vegas shirt you might be repping on there, bro? I'm just, far be it from me to say anything because, repping is what it's all about here. So I think we know where Bryan's rooting for here coming up. But go over to his page, guys. $9, grab that NHL best bet. Talk to me here, Merrill. How about you, man? $9 Monday. You got a couple of best bets available for us?
First, Joe, I was not expecting to see the baseball cap on the blazer. I mean, my first thought was that you should embrace the balding process and not cover it up. But then the more I looked at this, as Bryan was talking, I'm like, it looks like you're literally like hiding from somebody you owe money to. You must have had a big bet on the Knicks in the last series. So, and maybe that's why the hair is falling out. It's all coming together here as I'm thinking. But more importantly, Rob Vino's on the show. So do not distract me with that outfit because we got to get to some math because it's $9 Monday and Rob needs my help. No, it's not $25 Monday, Rob Vino. It's $9 Monday. That means every best bet for the entire week that's posted right now is just $9, including my MLB Steamroller blowout for Monday Night Baseball at a plus money price. If you love blowouts, Rob, that are plus money, go get that $9 MLB Steamroller blowout right now. And don't forget about the free plays. I post one every day. I've got a free play in that big Blue Jay Yankee game tonight as well on my page, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
You know how hard it is to match the blazer with a hat like at this color here, Merrill? You're not appreciating the thought that
I knew within a second of looking at you how hard it was, Joe.
And I can assure you, of all the things that I have been threatened with, baldness is not one of them, my friend.
That
I
is
can
true.
assure you.
You have a nice head of hair, my man.
That'll be the last thing to go on me. Trust me. Rob Vino, what is going on here, my man? I know you are loaded up here. I know you've been looking forward to these East Coast and West Coast. The finals are here. 4 teams left. I do believe you've got a 4% bet up ready to roll already here on your page.
We do, as a matter of fact, Joe, and I do appreciate the help from the pretty Steve Merrill in that trading card version of himself. I'll have to start collecting those cards. I don't know what number set Steve would be in the set. Steve would be figure that out.
1-on-1.
The updates.
Yeah, again, it involves math, so I'll have to. I'll have to get help with that. We do have a best bet up for NBA conference finals action. It was the first one I saw. The first one I liked. There's going to be more to come here. I think that there's ample opportunity, especially in these early games in these series before they get into the grind of later in the series. So you can go ahead and purchase that right now for $9 on $9 Monday. And also, when we conclude here, Joe, I've been a little bit, specific, reluctant, whatever with MLB, but it's been going good. Over 60% winners in Major League Baseball so far this year, and I will have one for this evening's action. So you can get both of those plays up and available, WagerTalk.com.
All right, no reason, guys, not to make this a profitable Monday here at $9. But we are going to dive in to these games coming up, to these series coming up, seeing if we can't figure out a few edges that we might be looking at. And again, we're down to 4 here, guys, as you can see it here. Lakers in Denver, and then of course Miami getting ready. They've been hanging out, waiting for Boston. And boy, I mean, what is this now? The third time out of 4 years, it feels like Boston and Miami are going to be meeting in some sort of Eastern Conference final here. So should be a good thing. But we'll start, of course, with the one that's coming up tomorrow, I believe. Give us some of your thoughts here. Lakers, Denver, opening up at 6 right now. And 222.5, somewhere in that ballpark. 8:30 will be the tip-off here tomorrow in Mile High on this one. Give me an idea, Brian. What do you think about this opening game? And are you leaning one way or the other in the series in this one?
Interesting fact that both of these final series, the teams split on the season. Both Boston, Miami 2-2, the Lakers and Denver 2-2. The one interesting point being, if you're just looking at the final scores, is the home teams dominated in this Western Conference series. We saw the home teams winning by 11, 11, 18, and 13 points. We find the Lakers coming off of beating Golden State. Golden State's been the king out of the West for too long, in my opinion, being a Cavaliers fan. But yeah, Golden State's one of those teams that you circle the wagons in order to beat them. Now they're coming off an extended series against them, although, to be honest with you, they put them away earlier than I thought they would. But now they got to turn around and play Denver in the altitude of Denver. I always like to play Denver when they're playing at home, especially if it's a series like this where you got both teams going to be there for a couple days. I think the first game, it affects them a little bit more because they get used to it after being there a little bit. So I think the Denver part works out pretty well. And like I said, they've been very good at home all season long, dominant in that regard. And now with the Philadelphia 76ers gentleman winning the MVP, I think that puts a little bit more spikes in the shorts of the center for the Denver Nuggets. It gets him a little bit fired up here. So I don't have anything on this series, but I do think Denver comes out and gives a good effort in game one. We'll have to see what the Lions move from that point, but no play in the series. But right now, leaning toward the home favorite in a series that has been dominated by the home favorite all season.
Yeah, no, it certainly has. I mean, Merrill, it's hard pressed to find a number 1 seed that has been overlooked as much as Denver has. It feels like during in the market, at least anyway, in these playoffs. Small favorite here, a 1 versus a 7, and we're looking at what, minus 150 for the 1 seed for the series. Kind of crazy here, but hey, what are you thinking? Denver, little underpriced here. Do you like them to take game 1? What do you think the best route here is to bet them?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it, Joe. You know that the Nuggets were the number 1 seed, the 4th best record of the entire league, and they weren't even a top 2 favorite in the conference. Phoenix, the 4th seed, was the favorite. Golden State, the 6th seed, was the second favorite to win this conference 3 weeks ago when the playoffs began, or a month ago. It's actually exactly a month, April 15th. So it's been a month into the playoffs here. And all Denver does is they keep doing their business. Like Brian Leonard said, the most unstoppable player, Jokic, in the NBA, the true MVP, continues to get it done. He had a triple-double a few games ago, which was like 30 points or whatever. But what jumped out to me was 17 rebounds, 17 assists. You know how hard it is to have 17 assists when you have that many rebounds and points? So that's just how dominant he is. And we'll see what Anthony Davis is made of, right? Because the zigzag works, the modified zigzag, as I always say in the playoffs, man. You just zigzag Anthony Davis up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, that's how he's been in the postseason. And you got to figure if we can time it right here, Jokic is going to be great every game. When is Anthony Davis going to be off? And you would think if maybe he doesn't have a great game, it'd be in game 1 in the altitude, a little bit of a less meaningful game here in a 7-game series. But you're paying a premium here. This line opened 5. Denver's now up to -6. I didn't expect it to be quite this high. I think Denver's the better team in this series. But, of course, the Lakers are not a true 7 seed, as you know. I mean, this is a team that was without LeBron, without Anthony Davis. And not only that, the new role players after the trade line, the addition by subtraction, getting rid of Westbrook to the other LA franchise has all been beneficial. Different guys, mediocre players step up every game, it seems. And that's what you need to win a championship. You need a couple all-star Hall of Famers, and you need role players. That's what the Bulls did for the decade of the 90s, Pippen and Jordan. Then you had guys like, Kerr and Rodman, other role players. So the Lakers are a dangerous underdog in this series. I will say this. I think it's going to come down to the officiating. Whenever we get Scott Foster, or those guys going, beware. I've had a great postseason. I was 18-7. I liked your Miami Heat to close out in Game 6. They got it done. And even with Foster giving the Knicks 11 free throws early in the game, the Heat still found a way to cover and then blew it with a meaningless layup at the end there. So I think the officiating is going to be really a key here. And I think this one goes 6 or 7 games. I think the NBA wants that.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful thing that the Celtics handled business the way they did yesterday. So they took Foster right out of the game, Rob Vino. He wasn't even he was trying early, though. He tried early to affect that game, but that game was long over by the time it headed to the fourth. So Scott Foster wasn't an issue there. Listen, Anthony Davis, Jokic. I just saw one of the comments come in from Lewis. You got one of the best defensive players versus the best offensive player. It's going to be a great matchup, but if we know anything about Anthony Davis, you trust him to make it 6 or 7 games in a series like this?
Well, I mean, if you want to attempt to handicap injury, you certainly start on the Lakers side, I think. Certainly the team that has more key players missing games due to injury over the course of the last couple of years than do Denver since Jamal Murray came back. It's interesting, Joe, because both of these teams come off series where they were involved in severe contrasts of style, right? They both played 2 little teams. One played Phoenix, one played Golden State. Both series really mirrored one another. The centers had their way. The front lines actually had their way in both series. But it's different now because they match up so well. If you just go through the fundamental matchups, you're going to start here with Denver's side, Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic up front against LeBron James, Jared Vanderbilt, and AD. That's totally different than playing a team that went to Jock Landale at center. And it's totally different than a team that runs Draymond Green out there at center. So it's more of a mirror image series, which to me kind of indicates maybe we'll see a little more defense in this one, or at least guys at the rim not being able to finish as easily as they did in previous series. We know Jokic went crazy with points in almost every game. We know that LeBron and AD did the same when they presented themselves to the Phoenix smallish front. So if that stuff is taken away a little bit, maybe we can look toward unders. I wouldn't say early in the series because things tend to bog down and become more defensive minded as the series goes on. The depth here, interesting that it probably favors the Lakers, right? The Lakers are going with 9 guys right now, where Denver's going with 8. But I think 8 is just fine. You worry about foul trouble in any given game, but certainly the quality depth on both sides is really good. So what you come down to is a basically even series. Denver's got home court. Denver's got altitude in their favor. And if you're going to look at series price, and you like the Denver Nuggets to come out of this series, which I think I do, then you probably want to just go to the series correct score prop. And you'll find Denver in most places at plus 290 to win 4 games to 2. Or excuse me, plus 550 to win 4 games to 2, and plus 290 to win 4 games to 3. Round number, if you were to bet 100 on each and Denver wins the series in 6 or 7, you make money. And I don't see anybody winning in 5 here. Like I say, I think Denver will win the series. So for a future bet, I think I would just combine those two, Denver 4-2, Denver 4-3. If they win it in 6 or 7, you have a profit either way. But it should be a really, really hotly contested series. And I would think that, back to your original question about AD, let's see. Let's see if he can stay healthy, because he's probably going to take a little bit of a pounding. And last thing I'll say about matchups, Aaron Gordon was a nightmare matchup for Durant. And LeBron James generally runs wild against these power forwards or small forwards he's matched up against. He'll probably get Aaron Gordon, and we'll see if he can slow him down just a little bit, which would help Denver.
We got quite a run, too, that I had seen in conference finals where the team that had played fewer games in the first and second round, they're on, I believe it is now a 16-1 conference finals run. So the team that's a little healthier had to play a little bit less. It's a grind. That certainly is going to give Denver an edge if that trend continues here. But game one, guys, coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, in Mile High. And then, of course, Wednesday gives way to Old Faithful, starting to get every year, it feels like we're talking about these two getting ready to come down. Winner moving on to possibly win a championship as Miami will travel to Boston. Boston, great Game 7 win yesterday, blowout fashion, laying 8 in this one, as the total is 210.5, and it sounds like a broken record, Brian Leonard, because if I had, and you'll appreciate this because you know this to be true, right, as an NHL fan, if I hear one more time somebody tell me how lucky the Panthers or the Heat are at this point, I'm gonna cry. I swear to God. Lucky is when you win game 5 in the first series. Luck is not making it to the conference finals. At this point, they belong there, but the market doesn't seem to think so here, Bryan. What are you thinking?
I agree. Boston comes out, and they're heavily priced favorite in this series, and nobody wants Miami. That tells me there's value on Miami. You just gave that stat about how teams do when they have the additional rest. That's Miami. They finished their series off before Boston did. Boston's main competition coming into the season, in my regard, was the Philadelphia 76ers. They have 2 must-win games on the road and at home. They took care of that. Now they exhale and say, "Oh, we only got to play the Miami Heat now, and they're, one of their best players is injured, and they don't have the big names that we have other than Butler, and yeah, this is a team that we should be able to win." Well, that tells me I want nothing to do with Boston here. I'll take Miami in the first game. You're getting them a +8. I'm even seeing a couple 8.5s out there here in Las Vegas, and that's the kind of spots I look for, and it's why I think all of us do so well that handicap the NBA playoffs. I know Ski's been on freaking fire, and he's an NBA expert, and these guys are NBA experts as well. Hockey's the same way. When nobody wants a team in hockey, you want to play that team, and that's the kind of thing we find all the time. But yeah, Miami's the team I'm looking to back. I don't know if they'll win the series, but they're going to make it tough on Boston, and I really like them in that first game. We see this a lot of times where people just have that letdown in that first game, especially when they're playing at home like Boston is. I really like Miami. I like Miami in the first quarter, Miami first half, Miami full game on Wednesday.
It's kind of crazy, right? And I think Dan there is got it the point, right? He's getting no respect. 8.5 for a team that's been waiting to see who they're going to play here in game 1. Boston coming off, obviously, a game 7 here. Never an easy thing. What do you think about game 1 in the series here, Merrill?
I'd say if you want to take the Celtics on the series price, I don't necessarily think Boston's going to lose game 1 here as an 8.5 point favorite, but it's definitely not a great spot, kind of like Ryan was saying. I mean, because they're coming off a huge game 7 win. And one thing we know about the Celtics, they definitely have an occasion or two during the regular season and this postseason to kind of mail it in at times. I thought coming into the playoffs that Philly and Boston, one of them would win the title. So it was really unfortunate for Philadelphia. What is it, the 5th or 6th straight year they haven't made it past the conference semifinals? But it's not a fluke. They played the best team in the NBA. And yes, they were only the 2 and 3 seeds, but keep in mind they had the 2nd and 3rd best records in the league. Philadelphia had a better record than Denver, who's the 1 seed in the West. So the Sixers would have been the 1 seed in the West. They had a real unfortunate matchup against the Celtics. But then again, the Celtics had an unfortunate matchup as well. And they were really fortunate to get out of this series down 3-2 heading back to Philly. But they turned it on when they had to. And also Tatum turned it on when he had to. He had a miserable game until the 4th quarter in game 6. And he carried them as they tried to blow the series. And then he carried it right into game 7 yesterday on Sunday with an NBA record type of game. What was it, 51 points? And he still sat out like the final 3 minutes. So this shows the potential of Boston when they want to play their A game. But you do wonder, will that A game show up here in game one of a 7-game series at home against an inferior team who is somewhat lucky to be here. I mean, Giannis went out 10 minutes into the first quarter. The Bucks, I thought, were a phony 1 seed. I was not big on Milwaukee from the start. And look, the Knicks were not a powerhouse. I mean, the Knicks did take care of a decent Cleveland team, but they've been faulty in the playoffs. Randall has been absent for several years in the playoffs. So this is a real step up in class for Miami. With that said, though, this is the third time the last 4 seasons these teams have met in the conference finals. So this is obviously a legitimate Heat team, and we have a lot of data to look at. And I know Rob's probably been digging into it already. Be interested to get his take on how meaningful he thinks the series was last year. I mean, a lot of the same pieces in place. New coach for Boston, a young 34-year-old coach, and we've joked about this off the air. His biggest job was basically as an assistant coach in the G League and a Division II head coach. I think that's part of the reason Boston has lapsed at time. I blame the head coach when that happens. So, yeah, I think this is a dangerous spot in game one, but I do not see Boston losing the series because when they want to turn it on, they're the best team in the league.
So, what do you, Rob? It's I think I saw the number was interesting since 2018. Big favorites, 5.5 or more points, usually aren't a great bet. At least they haven't been since 2018. 9, 10, and 1 against the number. 8.5 feels a lot here in game one. But what do you think? You said 6. I think you like 6 and 7. Possibly Denver with the Lakers. What are you thinking about this one as well?
Well, I can't argue Miami game one, Joe. Game one is usually the one where a road team is able to walk in and steal something, whether it be by point spread or straight up. And we've seen it a few times already in these playoffs where the road team has come in, stolen home floor advantage. In some cases, they give it back. In some cases, they don't. So Miami's certainly live here. I think Bryan and you documented the rest factor in this one. Boston has played 13 games. Boston did go to a 7-game grind. Miami's coasted through 11 games, really. A few of those were fairly easy. So, and one Jimmy Butler didn't even play of those 11 games. But when you look at the coaching matchup here, and I think Steve just touched on it a little bit, Eric Spoelstra against Joe Mazzulla. I mean, it's not Doc Rivers. I mean, what happened yesterday was a travesty, watching Doc Rivers try and coach against Joe Mazzulla, a guy who basically didn't make a single move until 5.5 games in. He figured out, maybe I'll try and play Horford and Robert Williams at the same time for the last 4 minutes of the game. And guess what? The last 4 minutes of game 6 and the entire game of game 7, Joel Embiid was flustered. James Harden was James Harden. You can't, you guys were talking earlier about Scott Foster being taken out of that game early. He was taken out of that game early by the playoff inept combo of James Harden and Doc Rivers. I mean, is there a worse 2 guys to have on the same side in a meaningful playoff game? So Spoelstra's going to outcoach this guy. There's no question that if Mazzulla goes to moves like, well, we're going to throw Marcus Smart on Bam Adebayo for a few minutes here, and Spoelstra's offense isn't going to start 25 feet from the basket with the ball in Embiid's hands. It's going to start with Adebayo 2 inches from the basket with the ball in his hands. All those advantages go to Eric Spoelstra, and they could be meaningful. I don't know how you quantify it point-wise, but I know there's a huge advantage there. Let's look at Miami really quick. They just beat the Knicks in that series. They didn't outshoot the Knicks. The Knicks went 43.6% from the floor as opposed to Miami's 42.5%. So they didn't have to shoot good to beat them, or better at least to beat them. Miami got out-rebounded by 31 in that series, still won. Miami had 25 less free throw attempts. They still won. But the Knicks offense, it's Jalen Brunson or bust, right? And this other offense is entirely different when they want to get it going. So it's going to be a challenge for Miami. I think, the Heat are 8-3 against the number in these playoffs, just a continuation of good playoff runs for them. In the past, 7-3-1 against the spread. You know me, Joe, I'd rather look and start from the total and work my way back to the side. And while I can't argue against the side here, I would probably be on Miami plus 8.5. I think the total's a little light at 212.5. Boston had been up and over 110 points every game until I think it was 5 and 6, and then they did it again in 7. And Miami, we've talked about it enough. I don't have to repeat myself here about how good the Miami offense has been. And Boston goes into lulls where they don't play a lot of defense. They do try and just outscore. So To me, 212 look low. I think game one, you want to look at Miami, Boston over the total.
Well, there's no excuse. It's not like these two teams don't know each other, Bryan Leonard. So experience is certainly going to be there. Boston knows. Jimmy Butler probably watching that last shot in Game 7 on loop there, I would think, if he gets that opportunity again here. Going to be extremely interesting. All right, one more reminder here, guys. It is $9 Monday. Of course, best bets available, $9 over at WagerTalk.com on these guys' pages. Take advantage. Bryan Leonard, we're going to start with you here. 60 seconds on the clock. Make sure, tell us, give us something here you might be leaning towards, either game one or a series.
Yeah, we just spoke about it, and I'll get to it once again. You mentioned Monday, $5 or 5% going on today. Normally $35. It's only $9 today. Hockey, we've dominated for the last 6 years. We're going to dominate again tonight. Lots of winning in hockey going on. A lot of talk about Scott Foster. I just read an article. Angel Hernandez, the baseball equivalent, has not umpired a game since April 3rd. Thank God is all I got to say. Hopefully he's out of the league and that's over with. Now we'll get to the play. I'll use the Miami Heat in game one. A lot of rest. These teams know each other very well. 2-2 on the season. They split the 4 games. Boston coming off of that Philadelphia game going 7. I like the underdog in game one on the road. It's always a good play, and I really like it for this one here. Give me the Heat plus the 8.5.
Boom! Getting it done. 8.5 it is. We're going to have to just use the for there. But I know these guys, they're pros. They're going to get it done before 60 seconds there, Robert. Talk to me here, Merrill. You got a couple of different ways to look at these series coming up. Give us a best bet here.
Can look at a free play game one between the Nuggets and Lakers on Tuesday night in the Western Conference Finals in just a moment. Quick reminder, I have free plays each and every day on my page. They've hit almost 60% free this year in 2023. It's a great way to build your bankroll and get a direct subscription, which the best bets have just been fantastic. In fact, NBA #1 in 2023, up 96 units already this calendar year. And I do have some strong best bets planned for the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. And don't forget, you can get the rest of the NBA for free right now when you get the next 2 months of my baseball package. No promo code needed. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Don't forget to check out those daily free baseball plays as well, including tonight right now on my page. Let's look at a free player prop for game one of the Western Conference Finals on Tuesday night. Anthony Davis, he's the zigzag personified. He's been up and down, but he's injured now as well. He's got to go against the best big man in the league in Jokic. He's going to focus more on defense, which he should, than offense. So I like Anthony Davis under 22.5 points in game one on Tuesday night. Don't forget, best bets and free plays, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Oh, man. Don't even need to do it there, Merrill. Outstanding. Beating the shot clock there, unlike Embiid and the Sixers on multiple occasions yesterday. Just couldn't seem to get that shot clock thing down there, Rob Vino. I did appreciate your post there, too, that what was it, Harden and Doc Rivers coaching their last 6 minutes in Philadelphia? Well done there, man. But give us a play here we can wrap our heads around as we get ready for game ones coming up.
Well, let me start here. Having worked 17 years in the ceramic tile business, I thoroughly admire that tile job in Bryan Leonard's background, which appears to be from like a restroom or something. I don't know exactly where Bryan's seated, but man, that looks like a men's room at the Quality Inn or something. Great tile work.
I wish I had a flush.
Look at that grout work.
I'm going to go back to where we just finished. I just think that, Boston will play with pace. Miami's going to want to get easy baskets. You don't really want to set up against the Boston defense. And Miami's been so offensively efficient. Even against a slow-moving Knicks team, Miami was able to find their way into the hundreds, 105 pretty consistently. 212 just seems too low to me. I think this game probably lands more in the 218 plus range. So I'm going to look at game one in the Boston Heat series to be over the 212 and a half mark.
All right, there you go. Up and over there, 210, 212. I wouldn't shock me at all if that thing all of a sudden becomes a shootout, given both of these teams' ability have shown an ability here to go off, certainly from the perimeter. So there you got it here, guys. Vegas D-Gen, what's that? Full Miami. You damn straight we're going full Miami gear in game one, Vegas D. You're damn right. Wait till you see it this week here. All these people got Boston winning in 4 games. Like, what are you talking about here? Wait until the Panthers start winning, Bryan. That got to bust out the thongs and everything. All right, let's take a look here. Best bet recap, if we can, as Bryan Leonard is going to go Miami 8.5. He'll back him here in a game one. Steve Merrill, though, he's looking to fade AD a little bit in game one. Under 22.5 points. Thinks Denver going to have a little bit of an answer for AD early on, while Rob says expect some points, man. 210.5. Little low in that game one between Miami and Boston coming up this week. And again, guys, don't forget, WagerTalk.com for $9 Monday, which means, of course, best bets are just $9. That's right. Visit Bryan's page. He's got that 5%er going tonight. NHL Game 7. You're going to want to hop on board with that. Nobody has been better in the NHL than Bryan Leonard right now. Go grab that for $9. Merrill's got his plays ready to go, as does Rob Vino. A lot going on here tonight, certainly in Major League Baseball. You got to love a Game 7. And the NBA, of course, starting tomorrow night and again on Wednesday. And if you're new here, make sure you use that code TRYWT. That's TRYWT at checkout. Get your very first daily or 3-day all-access pass. Take 50% off. Use that code TRYWT. All right, Derek Miller, I think he's got a great point here. Celtics ain't sweeping nobody. That's right. Way too inconsistent. I'm with you. That game was a bit of an anomaly there against Embiid and company in Game 7. I'm with you. Big shout out, though, to Vegas DJ and Have, Catherine in the house. IC, big shout out to you. Welcome in. Thanks for hanging with us there. Lewis, Big Dog, you guys rule. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Ghosted in the house as well. Make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner and get notified when we go live as well. So appreciate the time, guys. Happy Monday. Come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll have another crew in here. And, of course, more information and more picks on these games coming up in the association. Until then, on behalf of Bryan, Rob, and Steve, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with all your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.